on your nervous system regulation and somatic healing journey. As you process grief and you move through the so-called stages of grief, I'd like to present a new perspective on loss, on death, and on grief. So I'm going to do that. It's a really helpful perspective and a process of connection, which leads my grief-stricken clients back to life, out of pain, and back into connection with what they thought they lost. So I'm Healing Wolf, a professional neuroplastic, chronic pain, anxiety, trauma, panic, obesity, fibromyalgia, recovery coach. I work with all sorts of neuroplastic conditions. And I get my clients better by reaching into their unconscious minds on a journey with them so that we can make specific, beneficial changes and shifts that then allow them to accelerate their recovery and to recover in a way that's lasting, that isn't just a Band-Aid, but it's a lifelong transformation. So today, I'm going to talk about grief. And I had some deep grief experiences on my recovery journey. I was bedbound for a year with chronic pain. And the bottom of that journey, I lost my father. I thought I lost my father. And you see how I say I thought I lost my father? Because grief is a thought process. Grief is a cultural process. Grief is an idea. It's based on the idea that death is an ending. It's based on the idea that death is negative. It's based on the idea that we actually lose something, someone, anything, versus the alternative, which is what I'm going to present today. And then I'll tell you how it worked for my journey. Stick around to the end of the video and I'll tell you how this all played out with my father's death. It's really a wild story, so stick around for that. But first, let's look at the idea that what you thought was loss was actually just change. So we've got this law of thermodynamics in the universe, that matter cannot be created or destroyed, it just changes forms. And this is exactly what happens when a body dies. Okay, a body dies, but the energy of life, the energy of God, the energy of the universe, the energy that makes our whole system sing and function, just moves into a different form. Now, if you have a concept of deeper physics, then you may realize that this happens over and over all the time in everything. It's happening in us constantly, where we have cells dying, we have cells forming, we have energy moving through different forms. It's moving from matter into heat, and we are these dynamic beings. Eventually, our bodies go through a process where they age and they begin to break down. And that breakdown process leads to the ultimate change, the ultimate transformation, where our energy actually leaves the body and is no longer there. Where does it go? How does it continue? And why should we not grieve the loss of the body of someone we love? What we're actually experiencing is a survival instinct of unconscious mind. Unconscious mind felt more secure, more safe, and more ensured of survival, having that person in a body and connected to us in a body. So for example, if you have a parent who you can count on, then you can call them on the phone and say, hey, Mom, Dad, can I come over for a meal? That's survival. So when that parent passes away, unconscious mind wants you to feel bad so that you can reconnect with them, so that you can come back into that safety of having a meal whenever you need it, if you're hungry, or having shelter, or whatever, the survival benefit of a parent. And that's a big benefit for many people. So its unconscious mind creates this grief to try to get you to reconnect. It doesn't really get it that this body is laying here and the soul has been freed from the body. The light has moved beyond the body, is not contained in the body anymore. So the grief comes because unconscious mind likes that physical security, that safety, that support, and it desperately wants you to reconnect with this person in a body. And it has a hard time recognizing that the person is no longer in the body. So it gives you pain to reconnect. It makes you really uncomfortable. A lot of people say, I'll never feel better. I'll never get over it. Well, setting intentions like that will ensure that you will suffer forever. Or you can work with me and change your perspective. Even this video may be enough to help you change your perspective on grief. What you thought was loss was actually energy change. And the magic comes when you learn how to reconnect with that person, even though their body was cremated, or they were put in the ground, or they were lost at sea, whatever it was. Once your mind feels that reconnection, the pain disappears. It vanishes because that connection is once again a sense and a source of safety and security and strength. Let's look at it this way. How many people feel safe, secure, strong, and supported by God or by Jesus? How often do you hug God or Jesus in the flesh, or sit down at a table and eat pasta with Jesus, or hold hands with Jesus, or snuggle with Jesus, or drive over to Jesus' house and spend the night? Very few, but a lot of people get a lot of strength and a lot of support from Jesus. So here's what I'm saying, or Buddha, or Ganesh, whoever. But Jesus is a big one. You got hundreds of thousands of Christians feeling really empowered and really supported with knowing that Jesus is on their side, or God is on their side. God is there for them. But yet they're not holding hands with God physically, are they? Maybe mystical, but that's a whole different topic. So here's what I'm suggesting. That if you lost your father, you can now have the same relationship with him that you have with God, or with the universe, or with the great goddess, or the mother of God. However you want to feel it. Your spirituality is your business. And I'm giving you an example here. So you can reconnect. What does God want for you? Happiness, wholeness. Wants you to feel loved and supported. What does your father who died want for you? Happiness, wholeness. What does your son who committed suicide want for you? Happiness, wholeness. Do they want you to suffer? Does God want you to suffer? Does this deceased relative or friend want you to suffer? My answer is very clear. Not at all. They want you to reconnect with them, to talk to them, to bring them back into your life, even if you can't see them. Ask them for a sign. Get into the energy of knowing that they're still there, and feel their strength and support. And they will show up for you in mysterious ways, because spirits are limitless. When my father died, he came to visit me, and he didn't have to get on a train or a bus. He just showed up. And yeah, I had visions. I saw him in these visions. How did I open the visions? I'll tell you a little more about that in a moment. But first, please subscribe to my channel. give me a thumbs up and ring the bell. I'm on a mission to help people out of suffering. It's a mission that began when I helped myself out of suffering, and other practitioners, other coaches like me helped me out. And I decided that this was a valuable use for my time and my life. So please support me on this mission, subscribe to the channel, and I'll get you through it in one way or another. So how did I reconnect with my father when he died? First, I released the energy. There was a lot of energy, and I believe in feeling your emotions on this journey. It lets your nervous system know that emotions are safe, and you feel them somatically. You allow them to be there. You allow them to pass through like storms. So I cried a good bit, and then I started listening to some music, and Patty Griffin has this song, and it's called Forgiveness. It's a powerful song. And it's been sort of a musical portal for me to connect with the other side, if you will, with people who've gone. Music does that a lot for me. I'm a musician, so it works. And so that was my method, listening to that song, Forgiveness. And I went into a meditative state. I was laying on the floor on a yoga mat because I'd been bedbound that year, and I hadn't been able to rise yet into my new life and my recovery. So I started to have visions of him with the song, and then I saw him young. I saw his young form appearing in my mind, appearing in the room, and I jumped up, and I felt like he was coming to the front door, this energy, and I ran up to the front of the house. Very rainy, very dramatic, and very cold in Washington State, even though it was summertime. It was a very heavy time. I guess maybe it was a rainy day, and I ran up there, and I remember opening the door expecting him to fly in, but instead I saw a vision of him come down through the skylight, and he had wings, and I felt him embrace me and hold me, and it felt okay, and I felt reconnected, and that was a beautiful experience for me. Now, everybody doesn't have that same experience, but I promise you, you can reconnect with those that you thought you lost. They've changed, and you're changing too, and eventually you're going to change beyond this body too. It's just part of our journey. It's a grand transformation. The Buddhists practice this death meditation, so they'll be ready for it. They practice being grounded and centered even when there's chaos all around them. And that's the beauty of that meditative practice that they make a part of their lives. So to end the video, I would love to encourage you, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, to move through this grief, to reconnect with your loved one, or we can work on ending your chronic pain, anxiety, panic. I do all sorts of I help people with lots of amazing healing, somatic healing processes, and get them to better spaces, get them into a place where they can then take the helm of their ship and sail across that ocean of recovery autonomously. And that's why the processes I do are way better than traditional therapy, because after a little bit of time with me, you won't need me anymore. You'll be sailing on your way. So over at healingwolfcoaching.com, you can sign up for my newsletter, get a free somatic meditation, and you can book a free consult call so that we can strategize your recovery, get you better. And I encourage you to head over there and check it out. And I'll see you soon. You can watch these videos. You can subscribe here. And thanks for watching. I know you can do this. I know you can feel better and better.